Hi everyone, so today I'm going to be talking about diversity and social emotional learning. So first with that comes your classroom management. So a teacher first needs to establish the expectations of her students and make them known to her class, such as when it is acceptable to talk, when it is acceptable to move around the room, and also what to do if there's a conflict with another student. The teacher should possibly have a system for charting behavior, and the students should receive positive reinforcement for doing what they're supposed to be doing. Not always, but positive reinforcement is a great thing to have. That could be consumables such as candy or pieces of cereal, or tangibles like picking from a treasure chest, or also activities. So if they like to go walk around the halls or something, they could do that for their positive reinforcement. Also, you should look for the positive behavior and let students know that you see it. That's huge. Also, using a token economy, so kind of like the positive reinforcements, let students know that you're seeing that they're doing what they're supposed to be doing and reward them for that positive behavior. And you should change the inappropriate behavior when it occurs. Next is positive behavioral support. So behavior management is used to reduce problem behaviors and develop appropriate ones. ABA, or Applied Behavior Analysis, is based on identifying observable behaviors and manipulating antecedents and consequences of these behaviors to change behavior. This is also referred to as behavioral therapy. So there's three main parts of ABA, which the first part is target behaviors are defined operationally. Second, target behaviors are measured, and third, goals and treatment intervention are established. So ABA is a really important thing in behavior management and positive behavioral support. If you had someone to provide ABA to your students with behavior issues, there could be a huge increase in their positive behavior. Next would be tweaking the classroom. So if there is some discourse, there are some strategies that you can try to effectively manage your classroom. So first I listed try using behavioral therapy. If you have someone who's able to provide it, it really is awesome. Also try using different reinforcers to shape behavior, such as the positive reinforcers, like if they're doing what they're supposed to be doing, they're going to get to pick out of the treasure chest, or a punch card where if they fill up their whole punch card for doing positive things, that they get to get a piece of candy, or different reinforcers that will encourage them to do the right things and use their positive behavior. Also, you could try extinction or punishment or timeout. So there's different types of timeout, which I listed lower down, like planned ignoring. So for a certain set of time, you and your classroom students should just ignore what they're doing and let them realize that they're not going to get attention for their negative behaviors. Also, there's self-management, which is individual controls the consequences. This is more used for older kids, because younger kids, they can't really decide what the consequences should be, but for older kids it can be a really positive thing. Another thing with the timeout, there's another type, which is withdrawal of materials, and this is withdrawing the materials that are causing the behavior. So if they're cutting up all their papers and not doing what they're supposed to do with their scissors, take the scissors away and withdraw the material that is causing that behavior. Next would be social difficulties. So students may also display difficulty with social interactions, and this may negatively influence their success. There's usually two dimensions of social difficulties. One is internalizing and one is externalizing. So externalizing behaviors are disturbing and intolerable to others, such as aggression, hyperactivity, and delinquency. And internalizing behaviors more affect the person who is displaying them more so than the people around them. And these can include depression, immaturity, OCD, and shyness. As a teacher, you should identify when, where, and possibly why the aggressive behaviors or the hyper behaviors are occurring in order to resolve them. Teachers also need to identify the students with attention deficits and how to effectively teach them, such as maybe shortening their work periods or providing short, clear directions, and this can really affect them positively. Another thing is teaching the other students in your class about these behaviors, and this may also help them to be aware of why they're occurring if they're the right age. I mean, if they're kindergartners, they're probably not going to understand, but the upper level kids, you can explain this to them so that they are aware of why these behaviors are occurring within their classroom. Next would be the method that I chose was circle of friends. I really thought this was super interesting, and I could see it working in lots of classrooms. So what you do is you would pick one student that has significant behaviors and peer interaction difficulties, and the counselor or the school psychologist gets a group of kids together from that target student's class and talks to them about this target student and sees if these students are going to be able to improve these behaviors and interactions with this student. So I think that this method would have huge benefits if it's implemented properly and you choose the correct group of students to be a part of it. So these groups meet like 8 times, maybe more, maybe less, and they're really just trying to allow the target student to interact with the other group of students and know that they're included, and make them more aware of that there are students in their class that want to be friends with them and want to interact with them, and that will encourage them to maybe reduce their negative behaviors and also increase their interactions with their peers. So I think that the target students would hopefully be better accepted by their peers, and the group of students who participated would be positively influenced by the experience. They would see that their interactions with this student is really affecting how they go about their day, and that they were a part of that, and that would really positively influence them. My only concern about this would be that confidentiality would be broken, and maybe one of the students in the group would possibly share with another student in the class who the student was and what they were doing, and that target student maybe feel like they were being singled out or confused as to why he or she was being pulled into that group. Overall, I think the circle of friends would be a really positive method to use, though. Lastly is the instructional environment. So the instructional environment is when you arrange the environment in order to prevent behavior problems. So there are 6 different types of instructional arrangement, which is organizing instructional groups to promote learning and behavior. So there's large group, small group, one-to-one, independent learning, cooperative learning, peer teaching, and class-wide peer tutoring. So with large group, it's appropriate when the goal of the instruction is similar for all of the students. And small group is effective when the teacher wants to provide specific instruction to a target student or target students, a small group of them, that allows for feedback and support from the teacher. Independent learning enables students to practice skills about which they have already received instruction and have acquired some proficiency. So that may be a worksheet, and they're doing it independently because they have already been taught the skills and they know how to do it on their own. One-to-one allows a teacher to provide intensive instruction while closely monitoring their students' progress. This is really important because they can see exactly what the student is struggling with and experience it firsthand while they're working with the student one-to-one. Cooperative learning is when students work together and use each other as resources for learning. Then there's peer teaching, which is when a student who has already used the skill or has already learned the skill, which they would be the tutor, assists another student with learning the skills that they have already acquired. So that's really important too. And lastly is class-wide peer tutoring, which is a structured technique for improving students' reading abilities. So students at higher reading levels are paired with students at a lower level, and they work together on oral reading, storytelling, and different methods of reading to increase their abilities. So that is all for the diversity and social emotional learning. Thank you.